Hello guys, this is Ankur and today I'll be explaining you how you can execute external programs or external procedures in Java. Now by external programs or procedures I mean to say any external code. Okay. In this case I'll be using a shell code, but for example if you are developing any Java application and your Java application requires external input. Let's take for example any input which is fetched from external jar. Okay, for that you need to actually invoke that jar application through your Java code. So some way or the other you need to access that jar application. Okay, now there may be a question that if that jar application is available with me, why not I actually merge my code with that? But many a times you don't have the actual code with you and you only have the executable jar file containing the class files. So in that case it will be very difficult to merge your code with that particular application, and instead there will be a preferable choice of invoking that service or that application to to get the results in your application. So it is pretty easy in Java. It's very they have made it quite easier to do in Java. So let's proceed and let's start by creating a new shell file. Okay, I'll create it on my desktop. So I'll switch to desktop location. Yeah, so I'm in desktop now, and let's start by creating a shell file vi. Okay, I'm considering this add numbers. So basically this shell file will actually take two inputs, number 1 and number 2, and it will add those and it will give me back the output, which will be the sum of two numbers. Now I'm taking this example because it takes both input and gives output, so it will be a better option. Okay, it will be a better way to explain how Java handles both input and output of external programs. So we'll start by creating the shell file. Okay, uh, so okay, I'll press the insert button so that I can write. Okay, so I'll read two numbers. So let's take num1 and I'll take another number num2. Okay, I have taken two numbers already. Now I need to uh, add them. So I'll use another variable called sum. I'll give quote and expr, because generally in Java when in shell whenever we try to add two numbers, okay, we have to use this expr, otherwise it won't consider this as numbers. Okay, because right now we have not specified any particular data type. As you know, there is no specific data type for these numbers. These are just normal text input, but for specifying this as numbers we need to put the expr, and we'll start with num1 and plus num2. Okay, once it is done, okay, we need to echo the results. Okay, so we'll use echo dollar sum. Okay, so this code is pretty simple. It reads two numbers, okay, which is from the console as of now, and it outputs those into the console itself. So pretty easy. It's pretty easy code. So we'll save it. So now just to show how it works, we'll start by executing it. Okay, it will give me a permission denied error, because by default if you save anything using vi, it won't save that file with the executable flag, so you have to manually do it. So it is pretty easy in shell how to do it. Okay, you just need to press chmod x and followed by the file name. Once you do it, it's done. So let's start and see this code if it works. So I'll take two numbers. Let's take 2 and another number 5. Yeah, you can see this, that it adds the two numbers and it gives me output as 7. So as of now my code is perfectly working. It doesn't have any issues in the shell. So now we need to proceed with the Java part. Okay, so till this part is over, okay, let's select Eclipse. Okay, yeah, it is over here in my downloads folder, and I'll open it. So it's already open now, and we can proceed with creating a new project for now. Okay, so I'll just start by creating a new Java project, and I'll name it, I think, external call, suppose. Start by creating a new package. Okay, I'll name it as package. Fine. So once this is done, I'll create a new class inside it, and I'll name it as external. I'll add the main method. So as you can see, the basic layout of our class is done. Now we just need to add the code. So we'll start with first of all creating a command line input. So basically, for that, now before going into Java, I'll just explain you how actually we will be able to invoke the external procedure or program. We use something called as process builder in Java. So just to explain you, or just to give a short overview of that, okay, you can actually refer to this Oracle documentation, which is there for Java Platform SE7. It is a external it is a class built in Java environment itself, and which will be used for any process creation or invoke. As you can see this, just the first line, each process builder instance manages a collection of process attributes, and generally we start this process builder by using this method start, and it actually give us a process object. So we need to save it into a process. So that's it. You can find the whole documentation in this particular page. Okay, you can refer it anytime if you wish to. So let's proceed. Okay, so I'll just create a array of command which I'll be using in my shell. So I'll name it as command. Let's take this value, and the value would be the path to my shell. Okay, so I'll open it, I'll see the path. Okay, so this is the path, so I'll copy it, and and the file name is dot slash add numbers dot sh. So once this is done, okay, we are okay with it and we have actually saved it. Okay, instead if you can actually save it on a single string also, but just for the sake, okay, if you want to add something more, okay, if you want to add, like for example later on, if you choose to pass command line arguments itself rather than the read, okay, you can add further commands using the comma. So the point is that whatever you write with the comma separated inverted commas will be added with a space. So for example, if I add something like hello after it, so by default process builder will write something like this. Okay, so since my code will not work in this case, but still just to explain you how it works. Okay, so for example, if this is the case, whatever I've specified with the comma value, it will be added with a space. So this will be very helpful in cases where your external code requires command line arguments, or even your Java, if you have an external Java application which requires command line arguments, you can use this. So it is pretty easy to do it, and so this is how it works. So let's proceed with further executions. So I'll create a process builder object, and I'll name it as pb is equals to and I'll pass command inside it. Fine. Okay, so once it is done, we'll start with okay, let's take this example of calling this external process multiple number of times. How we can do it? Okay, maybe we can have an array of numbers, okay, and we can do a looping across those numbers, those array, and we can call that service with these two numbers. Or let's take a simple example where we have a nested for loop, okay, because in nested for loop we'll be having the parent loop and the child loop, and we'll have the two variables. So every time for each iteration, the child loop value will change corresponding to one single value for the parent, and after that is done, the parent value will also change, and the same thing will repeat. So let's take this example. Okay, I'll create a for loop. Keep it I is equals to 1, I is less than equals to 5. Let's run it for 5 times. Okay, so I've started my loops. Okay, and so what next? Okay, so we'll right now we'll create a process of instance variable. Let's name it as p, and okay, let's initiate it here only. So we'll use it pb dot start. So once this is done, it will automatically start this process, but it right now it gives a exception, that it throws IO exception, so it is unhandled. So we'll just add it with the throws declaration. Okay, so once it is added, it is done and we can proceed. So let's move ahead by okay, so at this point of time, what happens in the background? Now this path is taken up by this process builder. Okay, using this this it calls the default constructor of process builder with this command, which is the path of my shell, and the process builder is ready with the environment and this process uh, p, which is the process instance variable, is invoked. It's actually initialized with this pb.start. So this pb.start, if you see this, this returns a process. Okay, if I just show you the documentation available, okay, it starts a new process using the attributes of this process builder. So what is the attribute of this process builder? It is the path to my shell code, and it returns me a process. As you can see, this it is returning me a process. So we have to initiate the process p, which is the instance variable, with this method. So once it is done, but ideally if you see my code, if you run it, what happens? It starts waiting for a user input. So right now I'll be using the same scenario to, I'll try to depict the same scenario in Java. So right now my code has already started, but it is waiting for an input. So for this case, I'll use output stream. Output stream, let's take OS is equals to p dot get output stream. Okay, because this process has started, so this process also has a input and output. Okay, because it by default it writes to a pipe. Whatever shell code I'm running, it writes int to a pipe. So this pipe is connected right now to this output stream. So let's move ahead and create one more object, print stream. Let's name it as ps is equals to print stream, and let's initiate it with this. Okay, now we have to add the external imports. All done. Okay, so once it is done, what is left? Okay, so this right now what we have done, it connects to it connects the output pipe, or rather to understand it properly, it connects the input to the shell with the Java, or let's say with the Java stream, or with the Java output stream. Okay, so what it does, this whole line, these two set of lines actually connects this whole output stream with the input to the shell. So once it is done, we just need to print it. So we'll use ps dot println, as you can see, because my code works like if I add two numbers, I have to press a number and again press a enter. So that means I am writing a number followed by a form feed or the /n. Okay, so if you see this, it works properly with the print line. So I can't use print, so I'll use print line, and I'll see the number. Okay, it takes a string, so I'll use the wrapper class. Okay, fine. And since it is a buffer, so we need to flush it again and again, so I'll use flush. And now one of the numbers has already been input. Let's take another number also. So ps dot print line, and again I'll use the wrapper class, but this time I'll use j, because it is the child loop and this is the parent loop variable. So every time for each iteration, either of them will change. Okay, after this, we have to again do a ps dot flush, so there is nothing. Okay, this you need to maintain because the buffer gets full, and once it is getting full, the other input may not be working properly, so you have to you remove it periodically. So once this is done, okay, and right now the code is on this stage. Let me show you. When you have entered 2 and when you have entered 5 and you have pressed already you have already pressed enter, then this 7 has been output to the console. But till this part, till 5 part we have done. Now for the 7th is the output to the console. It is nothing controlled by my Java code, it has all to do with my shell code. So to take that input to Java, we can use again a reader. So we'll name it as we'll call buffered reader first of all. Okay, buffered reader, let's take it as br is equals to buffered reader. Okay, and we'll use new input stream because it is an input stream to the Java code. So we'll use input stream reader, and inside it we'll use p dot get input stream. Fine. So once this is done, okay, our reader is ready and we just need to output it. So for doing that, okay, we'll save that variable or save that output probably into a variable. So we'll use a new variable called c output. Let's take for example c output. Okay, so once this is done, okay, we'll use this whole thing into, okay, while c output is equals to what is this, br, right? So br dot readline, okay, is not equals to null, because this will make sure that only if this output is not equals to null, then we need to output something. What is that output? We output this whole thing. Okay, so this completes the code and we have nothing else to do in this case. Okay, let's save it and let's run it. Okay, as you can see right now it gives me random numbers, but this is actually the correct result, because if you see, for the first iteration it takes 1 and 1, so it is 2. Then for the second iteration it will take 1 and 2, which is 3. Okay, let's make it pretty easier to read, so I'll name it as let's take sum okay, so this will output me, let's see it, run it. Okay, so it is pretty easier to read now. So sum of 1 and 1 is 2, sum of 1 and 2 is 3, sum of 1 and 3 is 4, sum of 1 and 4 is 5. So as you can see, this whole output has come to my console and it's all done perfectly. So what we have done. Initially we started by creating a command line parameters set or a command line input for what we did in this case to start the code. Okay, just dot slash number add numbers dot sh, because we were on desktop, but this Java code is not running on desktop, so we have to give the full qualified path, which is this. And once this is done, we started this process. We actually created this pb object, which was process builder object, with the command input, and we started a nested for loop. We created a process object using this pb.start, and this further on we created one output stream to input the variables to this program. And once it was done, we started by creating this input stream object, which was further routed to buffered reader. And once this was done, we use the string output to get the output to our Java code, and it was pretty easy and we could easily do it, and that's how it works. Okay, any further queries and all, you can comment on the comment section below. And other than that, you can actually go through this process builder documentation if you really wish to do something more extensive or something more creative, but this is the basic process builder example. Okay, you can further on experiment and play around with this particular class, which was added in Java 1.5, I suppose. It is very handy, very useful for some cases, and you can make the most out of it. So that's all for this video, and thanks for watching. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can paste it down in the comment section below.